According to polls, Biden's approval rating sits in the gutter at 39%, but in 2022, Dems had a pretty decent midterm despite Biden's bad ratings. Mentioned in my short video about 2024, this was because voters who somewhat disapproved of Biden could still stomach a vote for his party members. But is this the same as voting for the Biden who is disapproved of himself? Looking at polls, no. But we're not taking them for granted at this point. Like I said then, Biden needs to get a lot of votes outside his fan club. Trump, the challenger himself, is the most obvious route to voters who don't like the president. Trump is being presented as an existential threat to democracy and an imminent danger on the fronts of various social issues. Trump's criminal trial has seemingly been postponed, possibly until after the election. Whatever weight it has may be shifted to the perception of how the trial will go rather than the trial's outcome itself, which would be dangerous. We say innocent until proven guilty, but really treat the accused as half innocent, half guilty in some gray zone, or some other split depending on how it is socially signaled how guilty they are. Just look at Rittenhouse before and after his trial. Even though the evidence that acquitted him was there on day one. Sensationalism gets those clicks, and the corporate news outlets, say Fox and Newsmax, do people like Trump and the aforementioned Kyle Rittenhouse no favors, as in Russiagate and the self-defense charge. But that's part of why trust of dependent media and viewership, say Fox, are at an all-time low, and independent media sources are as powerful as ever. We will have to see how it is perceived and how much weight January 6th really has on the American electorate, which might be heavily overrated. There are two alternative realities where Trump is not an option for the majority of independent voters, or is considerable, even favorable. Predicting elections is no longer like making models and finding out how close the polls are. It's more like deciphering which scenario world we live in, which I will attempt over the year with the data we have to piece together and also throw out. Hopefully some real-life investigation as well, being the prime real estate of Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Whether one disapproves of Biden can vote for him is why a disapproval. If someone who is pretty liberal has no policy disagreements with Biden, at least major ones, disapproves of him because of something like age, then there's still a vote for him. Not so much with the economy or border. Biden's concerns over his age have been bipartisan in the press because Democrats were having an out-loud internal monologue on whether Biden should be nominated, and still appear to be, even though it's over with him racking up those delegates. This was pondered until it was decided Biden was a safer choice than a primary battle, and his potential contenders laid out the carpet for him. Made nominee, you should expect Democrat outlets to give more partisan defense of his mental health and deflect towards Trump on this, though public opinion will probably not favor Biden on this. Though things look up at the current moment, voters disapprove of Biden's handling of the economy over his term. Biden's supporters claim he beat inflation, as its rate has slowed down. The annual inflation rate has what used to be 9, now it's like 4, but prices are still 18% higher than when he took office and counting. I don't buy that public opinion on Biden's economy will ever be positive with things being that drastically expensive than since before he was president. Regardless of GDP, the employment numbers or stock prices. Not to say the short-term economy in 2024 won't shift the margins, even if it won't make the economy shape net positive. Both candidates are disliked. You would think this means a low turnout, but in this case, the hatred of the candidates makes for high stakes. The stakes being so high, I have a hard time imagining the turnout being low. It might be less than 2020, the Omega turnout election, but people are going to be voting. If you would tell an unpopular president that at the very least his party was going to the polls, you would find it very consoling. Third-party candidates might snatch those votes, which would be devastating for Biden. I said in the short that Democrats need to get 50% of the popular vote to win the Electoral College, which is going to be hard if Jill Stein, Cornel West, RFK, or no labels, siphon progressive or independent votes. Vote share was the big difference between Clinton 2016 and Biden 2020. Note that Clinton also fear-mongered heavily about Trump and had the same big guilt trip to morally obligate people to just vote against Trump. Clinton lost, though, and Biden won. Well, looking at exit polls, seemingly the difference is enthusiasm for Biden. Trump was even more feared in 2016 than 2020. So does fear not work on Trump? Maybe this time's different. But it's always different this time. But maybe it actually is. Aside from the trial, many things could happen in the next few months. The military and economic situation in Ukraine could become apparent to the naked eye in the immediate future, something politically even. The economy could block or allow a rate cut, depending on if inflation goes down again instead of rebounding. Tiny chance of something in the Middle East, and a bunch of things I'm not even thinking about could happen. Of course, the campaign itself. I know you guys want answers, not coulds, maybes, probablys, but it's February. I wanted to make this video as a 2024 follow-up to the short, expanding on it, and as an outline for the events to come, which will follow. And also, hopefully, I learned to speak for prolonged periods of time without having breathing problems. You might be able to hear. So if you like this video, remember to like and subscribe.